Welcome back to this reading vlog of R. Scott Bakker's The Darkness That Comes Before. Today I'm talking about chapter 13, the Hethanta Mountains. We are still with our two buddies, our two little friends, our two stoic warriors, Kellis and Nair. They're traveling across the steppes, talking about stuff. They briefly talk about this god named Lokang, and Kellis asks if this god was born, and indeed, yes, he was born a long time ago. They're walking along, having a fun time, talking warrior talk, and then they go down to bed. They go down to rest, and Nair the entire time, he's like, I'm gonna kill him in his sleep. I'm gonna kill this Kellis guy. But he does not, because what happens is something weird. Kellis's eyes popping open and a voice from nowhere saying, I know you, Sylvendi, better than any lover, any god. Not sure what that means, but there it is. And they spot a camp next, and something seems to be wrong. It seems to be amiss, as Kellis notes here. This camp, he said tonelessly, is dead. And it was destroyed by Ikuri-Kamphis. We know that man. The emperor's nephew did this, he says. And then they meet some riders. It looks like 20 or so riders. One of these riders says some terrible things, some things that piss off Nair, and they just fight it out. Right here, Nair cuffed him hard about the side of his head because he says, there's not a man on the steppe who hasn't laughed at the name of Nair Urs Skjotha. So they fight. They do some badass stuff. Kellis is kind of an anime character, I guess. That's the one thing about this so far. I know it's early. I know I'm early, but Kellis is kind of boring. The stoic, badass, know-it-all, master swordsman, I don't know. That kind of archetype is extremely boring to me. It's extremely played out. I really hope he changes and transforms. I know this is book one. I know I'm just barely a little bit over halfway through, but I'm just sharing my thoughts. I'm sharing my first opinions. That is the point of this reading vlog. So don't worry. If he becomes awesome, I will change my story. But so far, that is how it stands. And after they decimate this tribe, this raider tribe, they find a woman. They find a woman. They have slaves there. Her name is Serwe. And the strange thing about this chapter is there's three POVs. So we have Serwe, we have Kellis, we have Nair, and it's flip-flopping. And it's kind of odd to introduce a character this late in the story. I'm not sure where it's going to go, but they go pretty deep with her backstory in this, right? She falls asleep. She has a dream. We learn that she was a concubine, I guess, with the Barassus guy, the guy who was laughing at Nair on the battlefield. I think that was him anyway. So we're starting to connect more pieces again, and she goes to kill him in his sleep. She goes to kill Nair in his sleep because he kind of freed her, but she gets the knife that they were cutting up the horse with to eat, and then Kellis wakes up. Kellis is there, and he convinces her to not do this. And she kind of falls in love with Kellis, sort of. She wants him to kill Nair still. As I mentioned, we go into a backstory of this woman, about how she was captured, what went down when she was captured. A lot of exposition, a lot of exposition. I was kind of zoning out a little bit in this chapter. It's a pretty long one. It's almost 50 pages, and that's a pretty damn long chapter for me. So I'm really curious what the significance of her is going to be, other than being tied to Kellis, because that seems to be what she is right now. But they get in a fight. They finally make it to the edge of this empire, right? They're going to go down to this empire, and they have their little battle. They're fighting, and of course, Kellis wins. He's hanging him over this edge of this cliff, and Nair says, do it! He gasped through snot and spittle. His feet swayed over nothingness. But he stays his hand, yes. Kellis, of course, does not kill him. And they decide they're going to pose as people while they go into this empire, because he notes that the Sylvendi, if they step foot in this land, will be slaughtered. And he tells them, you'll be the last of your tribe, a dispossessed man driven from his country by woe and misfortune. I'll be a prince you encountered traveling south over your lost lands. The coolest line of this entire chapter is at the very end of this section. When the Utmat chieftain wiped the bare form across his mouth and nose, he spat blood. A prince of nothing, he said. There it is. There it is. And that's pretty much it. They head on. The last words of the chapter are, this is the way to Momen, he said, and spat across trampled grasses. I don't really know how I feel about that chapter. It was fine. There was a lot more information given, but there's some battles. But again, I wasn't really invested in the fighting because, again, it's Kellis and Nair. Nair's kind of cool in a kind of tormented way, but he didn't really display anything that grabbed my interest. Kellis, typical stoic warrior, badass to the max, boring, seen it a million times. I really, really hope he gets expanded upon. I really hope he turns into something else, because so far he's feeling pretty damn tropey. Serwe, I don't know. It seemed kind of a waste, but again, maybe she plays a bigger part in the story. I really didn't feel any emotional connection to her with her backstory because, again, exposition. exposition. And I just cannot empathize with that. We got one more chapter in the warrior section. I really hope it finishes strong because that's going to put us into the final section, the Holy Wars. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.